So I'm down at the shop today, getting ready to go to Flaming Gorge, and we're going to target burbot at night. So I need to pour some jigs and pour some plastics. I'm going to do them in a glow color, so they'll glow in the dark. And we put them on these jigs that we're going to pour, and hopefully we'll have some good tales to tell in a few weeks. So anyways, we'll get going and get to work. Okay, so here we are getting ready to make some plastic. I've got this here I got from Jan's Netcraft. It's just plastisol, they call it. You want to use the Pyrex when you're working with the microwave and high temps. And I think for now I'm just going to do 1 cup. And what I've got here, this is some powder that is luminescent. It's glow-in-the-dark powder, they call it, same company. And since this is for my personal fishing this trip, I'm going to take and pour everything into it, because we want these babies to glow. No excuses. And you want to get this stuff up to about 325, 350 Fahrenheit. You can see it kind of gets a little bit milky there. I don't know, it's kind of like thin syrup, I guess, right now. But if you get it warming up in the microwave, it'll actually turn clear. And then it'll start to thicken up a little bit. And I usually go about 30-second intervals. Maybe get off start here, we'll go 1-minute intervals. But pretty much 5 minutes. I've done the temperatures on my multimeter, and about 5 minutes is good enough to pour and shoot the plastics. This is a Do-It mold, and it's a 4-inch craw tube, they call it. It's kind of an interesting mold. It's got a little port here that you actually inject it with this injector. This has little splines on it for the tail, and of course you just set that right in there so your plastic is able to go around that part of the injection system. So there's a minute on the plastic. I just give it a quick stir again, and we'll throw it back in. This ought to be some good stuff. So there's, after about 2-3 minutes, it's starting to get a little bit thicker in spots. So we'll keep stirring it real good, make sure you get it on the bottom there. As you can see on my plastic mold, I've got it set on top of the lead. We're preheating that. I'm in a pretty cold shop this morning, so sometimes if you pour hot plastic into these cold molds, it kind of messes it up a little bit. The plastic will shrink. So as you can see, this is getting a lot thicker now. Quite a bit thicker. So I think another minute we'll have it. Different. Usually I just throw my sucker meat. I throw a little sucker meat on my hook and just let it hang off. But this year, with the fishing with a tube, I'm going to try to shove that sucker meat up inside the tube. Kind of make sure that the hook is exposed so that we get a good connection when we set the hook. So, you know, fishing's just fun. It's something you always thinking about. How can I do this better? I'm sure next year I'll do something totally different, but that's this year's plan. So we'll put a little of this licorice smell in here. We're about ready to shoot a mold here. Woo, that smells like licorice. We'll just clamp that on there. That just holds the mold closed while you're pouring it. And all we do is simply open the microwave, pop out our deal. You don't want to stir it on the last try because you create a lot of bubbles. This is your syringe. We're just simply going to throw that syringe down in there, suck it up, and go right to the mold and inject it. And then on the very last, you want to top off, because it will keep taking plastic and shrink up a little bit. So you just top the mold off a little bit. 20-30 seconds is all it'll take. In fact, it's probably good to go now. So then you just take and open that up. Ooh, look at there. So you can see how that plastic followed down that mold. Pretty good crawbait. These are a little bit bigger than I'm normally used, but I think they're going to work great. So I'll just set this on this tray, and we'll make another one. So while we're at it, I'm going to show you a different setup here. But this is a injection mold where you pour the plastic in the top here and it shoots it up into the mold. We usually use a single tail Gary Yamamoto 3 or 4 inch glow. I thought, well, why wouldn't a double work better? So I bought that. Real quick, I'll show you how we do those. Take your plastic, simply pour it right up in there, and you got to kind of hustle on this one. But then you just take that injector and you push it, and it flows right into the mold and out the top. That'll catch fish, folks. That'll catch fish. Not perfect. It'll catch fish. I think especially at night when we're fishing for these burbot, it's just gonna work really well. Can't wait. Nothing I love more than setting a hook on a burbot at night. So now this one's probably cooled down enough. Just pull that plunger out, undo these wing nuts. So basically you just take and slowly, gently peel these 2 pieces of plastic apart. And you're left with your lure, hopefully. I'm gonna be careful peeling those off when they're hot, because you can tear the plastic easy. I just pull that off there. Pinch the top off. And then we got a nice double tail lure there. That should do us a good job. So here's a thought I had last time when I was in the shop. I made a little jig head. This isn't a perfect one, but put it on the outside of the jig, then with a normal hook, but then I put a stinger on there in the tail. I thought, you know, that might not be a bad lick. So we're done pouring plastics for today. You take all your waste and throw it back into the Pyrex dish, and I actually wait for it to cool off, and then I put them in Ziploc baggies, like so. Got black and white and reds and pinks and greens. They're just ready for the next time. I'm gonna try to pour some jigs real quick. Basically, you just close your jig mold in after you get the hook set. Make sure you get a good snap on that, you hear it. Then you've got these little ports in here. And when I lift up on this, the lid comes out. Hope you can see this. You can put that nipple right into the holes, but these are big enough jigs that I'm not too worried about it. Simple as that. They don't take long to cool down. And that's what we're left with, is some nice little jigs. The other one stayed up in the top, but yeah. That's just like you buy in the store, folks, and a whole lot cheaper. And to me, it's a little bit more satisfaction in being able to do it yourself and, you know, kind of tune in exactly what you want. To get the excess lead off, I just hold them with my pliers. Hold that in your hands firmly. Just wiggle it back and forth a little bit. And there you go, ready to paint. And one more. Okay, so there's our jig. That's a nice 1/2 ounce jig. That's gonna catch me a lake trout, and we might use it for the burbot as well. We'll do another batch. Those turned out pretty good. So we're gonna do some of these jigs here. They're kind of just a teardrop jig. They almost are like the shape of a normal tungsten jig. I like them because they're 1/8 ounce. I can get bigger hooks on them and they catch fish. Okay, so we put the hooks in there and we're gonna listen for that good snap. That snap tells me that all is well. I can see down there that there's no gaps, we're connected. Sometimes you'll get a hook that raises everything up and it'll foul the whole batch. 6 new jigs there. You go to the store and buy those, you're gonna be looking, you know, 30 to 50 cents a piece, somewhere in there, once they're painted. Grab the over pour with the pliers, and they just break right off nice and clean, pretty much ready to paint. So I figured while I'm at it, I may as well pour some smaller jigs too. So we got the hooks in there. These are a little bit more critical. You gotta make sure you got this one set right, or you will have a mess. Now this particular jig, it's the simplest jig I've got, but it's caught me the majority of my fish so far this ice fishing season. Just a simple little jig, but it's just been a great little jig this year for me. I was running low on them, so I figured while I'm at it, we'll pour some, get a stockpile going. So we got those poured. So when I paint my jigs, all I do is heat them up for about, depending on the size of the jig, 6-7 seconds per side with the heat gun. Then I just take some pliers and dip them into this paint. So we'll do that, and then after I'm done with that, I hang these jigs on this rack for my little toaster oven, and we'll throw them in the toaster oven for about 20, 25, 30 minutes on 350. So basically I hold my paint in this hand. I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, and I just dip it. Tap that off. A little bit powdery. I can get it, stick it on there one more time, give it a little shine, but you really don't need to. I'll just hang it on the rack now and go to the next one. In fact, I'll do a different jig. We'll do a bigger one this time. That'll catch a fish, folks, just like that. Fisherman tested, trout approved. So we got our jigs all painted. Now I'm going to preheat the oven and we will throw them in for 20-25 minutes. So we just got them out of the oven. They're looking pretty good. So there we are. We got our Flaming Gorge tackle ready to go. I had some of these bad boys. I caught a lot of bass on these in some green colors over the summer, but I thought they'd work good for those burbot as well.